Welcome to anything and everything DSLR and beyond.
Planet 5D. This is the official Planet 5D podcast.
Greetings, Earthlings! Planet Mitch, master of the universe at planet5d.com, where we bring you the best DSLR video news, information, and conversation, and opinions. We've been a little opinionated lately on the planet Earth. Da-da-da! It's time for the results of the Simple Sunday Survey. But before we get to that, I want to talk a tiny little bit about some major new announcements that I heard when I flew down to your planet Earth and went to a town called San Diego. I went to the Rode Show, that's R-O-D-E, the makers of the microphones that I'm using here today. I've got an NTG2 above me for the pilot sound into my Canon 5D Mark III, as well as I'm using the Smart Lav, which is going into my iPhone down in my pocket. I'm holding another Smart Lav because I discovered something when I was with the Rode folks. I have one right here on my lapel. You may not be able to see it because it's kind of folded in there. But if you have the Smart Lav, if you have a black plug, then you probably ought to get one of the newer Smart Lavs, because the new Smart Lav, which has improved sound and a much lower level of background hiss, has a gray plug down here. So if you've got a gray plug, you're okay. Black is, maybe you ought to think about buying a new one. At the Rode Show 2015, they announced a new NTG microphone, which fits between the NTG2 and the NTG3, so the numbering scheme's a little bit crazy now. But they've announced the NTG4 and the 4 Plus. So the NTG4 and the Plus are the same microphone, except for the Plus has its very own built-in battery, which lasts 150 hours. And you're going to hear a whole lot more about that on the Planet 5D when we get our hands on one of those. The buttons are awesome. They're blue when you're running in phantom power, and they're green when you're running on the battery on the Plus. So there's a great little visual indicator there. Again, a lot more coming up on that. The other big announcement was the Roadlink. The Roadlink is a brand new wireless system that they have announced, and there are several different versions of it. This is the base version for filmmakers like you and me. It's got the wireless unit that goes on top of the camera and plugs directly into the camera, so you can get the audio straight into the camera. And then this unit will go on your body. There's a lav mic that is included, but it's not in this picture. And it is the same lav mic that you can buy for $100. So this is really awesome because it's going to be $399. I believe is the pricing on this, which is lower than some of the others that are on the market. And we're going to get one of these in March and find out how well it works. So look for the review on that on some website called Planet 5D. So let's talk about the Simple Sunday Survey from this week. And I actually asked 3 different questions, although they're very closely related, because I wanted to know what kind of cameras you guys are actually using to shoot video. The first question that I asked was, how many cameras that shoot video do you actually own? And I was kind of surprised by this, because the number one answer was 6 or more, which is kind of really surprising to me. Now, also, if you include things, because we're going to talk about a whole lot of different camera types, but if you include a smartphone, and maybe you've got an iPad that shoots video now, and you've got a DSLR and maybe a GoPro, well, that quickly adds up, right? So maybe 6 at 32% of our viewers isn't really a big number, but also surprising was that people who only own one was only down at 3%. So that's kind of interesting information. Almost everybody's got more than one camera. Of course, now the question becomes, question number 2, how many cameras that shoot video do you actually use? So people own cameras that shoot video, but how many are they actually using? And the number one answer was 3 at 28%. So that's kind of interesting. So they're owning 6 or more, but only really using 3. Now, in my situation, for example, I have a Canon 5D Mark III, which is over there, and a Canon 5D Mark II, which is over here. I do have a an iPhone, which is in my pocket, which is currently recording audio. So I'm using all three of those devices, although the iPhone's obviously not doing video. And I also have a Rebel T4i, which I use periodically, although right now my daughter has it off at college, so I don't get to use that. So I have 4 cameras that shoot video, including my smartphone. My iPad technically does too, so maybe that's 5. So quickly I add up. But in terms of what I'm particularly using right now, I'm using 2. I use my iPhone periodically to record video, so I'd probably in the 4 category. And the last question was, okay, which type of cameras are you using? And I asked a whole bunch of different varieties. I had a couple of people that weren't quite sure whether their camera was a Micro Four Thirds or mirrorless or camcorder, and they wrote in the other section. So I had quite a few others listed. People would put Blackmagic, for example. Now I would have put the Blackmagic in the Micro Four Thirds category because that's the kind of sensor it has. I should have probably also thrown in there a Super 35 sensor size. So I apologize, I didn't think that one at the time. But so that's why the other category is a little bit bigger. But for our readers, and again, the people answering the survey are people who subscribe to the Planet 5D blog. So if you want to join in on the survey, come over to planet5d.com/join, and you can participate in our Simple Sunday survey that will go out every Sunday. 80% of the people that answered the second question that are using their cameras to shoot video, 80% of those are using their DSLR. Now, all of these numbers don't add up to 100% because I allowed multiple choice, because of course people are using multiple cameras to do their filming. Smartphone came in number 2, which was a big surprise to me. I wasn't expecting the smartphone to be as big as it is. The big boy video cameras is like 25, I've forgotten the exact number. It's like 28%, I think. And I don't know why. I couldn't get Keynote to put the percentages on here. And I probably need to learn how to figure out that. But so I don't have the exact numbers on this chart. But the third most popular was GoPro, which again kind of surprised me because I didn't think that many people were using a GoPro that often. But maybe I'm learning stuff. Traditional camcorders came in about 18%. Mirrorless and Micro Four Thirds actually matched out at 22%, which kind of surprised me. The point and shoots, most people aren't using those. And a flip camera, I threw that in there because I wanted to know how many people were just using a simple, dedicated video camera these days. I expected most people to be doing the smartphone as compared to the flip phone, so I was right there when I was thinking about it. That's the end of Simple Sunday survey number 5. Look forward to number 6 coming up shortly. I also want to remind you that I've got the Camera Conundrum available now for those of you who may want some information on how to pick the very best video camera for your next project. Jump over to planet5d.com/cc and have a look at the Camera Conundrum. It may appeal to you. Tune in again next week for another Simple Sunday survey with an interesting question, which I think is going to be... I don't know. You'll have to tune in. Thanks for watching. This is Planet Mitch saying, to the moon, Alice.